Le Mans class winner Richard Bradley believes former Mercedes racer Valtteri Bottas would give Red Bull exactly what they want from a number 2 driver alongside Max Verstappen. Red Bull have consistently assured the driver currently filling that position, Sergio Perez, over his short-term future, confirming that the Mexican racer will continue into F1 2024, the final year of his contract, to push for a spot in the 2025 lineup. That being said, his inconsistent form, plus the gulf in performance to teammate and runaway championship leader Verstappen, which has re-emerged, has sparked speculation regarding Perez's place at Red Bull for next season. Valtteri Bottas to Red Bull gets Richard Bradley's vote. While appearing on the On Track GP podcast, Bradley, an LMP2 class winner at Le Mans in 2015, would discuss potential options to fill the number 2 position alongside Verstappen, and gave the nod to Bottas as a proven option. The Finn raced alongside 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton between 2017 to 2021 as Mercedes teammates during the Brackley squad's era of dominance. Bottas, a driver at the time hailed by Hamilton as the best F1 teammate he'd had. While Bottas never mounted a title challenge against Hamilton, he did more than enough to sustain Mercedes' streak of constructors' title wins in that period and did deliver a collection of standout performances, winning 10 Grands Prix overall. Now racing for midfield strugglers Alfa Romeo, Bradley reckons Bottas would be a solid option for the second Red Bull seat. I would say yes to Bottas, because we've seen him in that effectively. He didn't want to be there, but number 2 role with Mercedes, said Bradley. And he was more than good enough on his day to give Lewis a run for his money and kept him on his toes, and this was when Lewis was in very good form. He made every single Q3 that he did for Mercedes. And as I said before, that's what you want from your number 2 driver. Of course, you want them to think that they can beat the number 1, because that pushes them, and Bottas was able to do that in situations. You want someone who is constantly there. Yuki Tsunoda would be bit of a dynamite in Red Bull seat. Yuki Tsunoda has openly stated his goal of partnering Max Verstappen in the same car in future, believing there wouldn't be a big difference between them in a dry qualifying trim. The current AlphaTauri driver admitted that the consistency the reigning world champion shows on a race-by-race basis, as well as his adaptability in mixed conditions, is what sets him apart at the moment. But given the chance, he would want to drive in the same car as the Dutchman eventually. Tsunoda recently signed a contract for a 4th season at AlphaTauri next year, but with Sergio Perez's deal at Red Bull coming to an end at the end of next season, Perez himself and several others are likely to be vying for that slot alongside Verstappen. Yuki Tsunoda wants to test himself against Max Verstappen in equal machinery. For his performances in the first half of this season in particular, Tsunoda had been hailed as one of the most improved drivers on the grid after largely running the rule over NYCK De Vries, though his battles with Daniel Ricciardo and Liam Lawson recently were on a more level playing field. When speaking to media in Qatar, Tsunoda was asked about what he feels Verstappen's best qualities are as a driver. But his initial response was to say he wants to put himself through the ultimate challenge and test himself against the 3-time world champion. To be honest, I would like to drive in the same car, because I don't know it, said the AlphaTauri driver. Obviously, it's easy to say he's good, but, at the same time, we never drive together, and obviously the car is different, so it's hard to say about the driving difference. But I think the most impressive thing for me is about the consistency, how he adapts to each condition, like for example, in the Netherlands where condition changes at the tracks, sometimes half wet, fully wet, and he's always on the limit. I think he's always able to drive really fast and control the car. I think those things, those places, are the difference to me and where I have to work on to reach the Red Bull. But other driving and other performance in dry conditions in qualifying, I wouldn't say for now that we have a big difference, but to be honest, I don't know. Obviously, the consistency is definitely better.